This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for June 2nd, 4:30 p.m. Last night I had my annual hurricane season kickoff show, and we had quite a few listeners and callers to the show last night. We gave away several items, one of which is Siberian ice, and I want to put a special thanks out to Early Alert Incorporated, the sponsor of Hurricane City. They sponsor the featured city at Hurricane City whenever a hurricane is on the move, and they were giving away Siberian ice last night. We had some callers that called in to stump the panel. They asked some really difficult questions that we were unable to answer, and of course if we can't answer the question, they get the prize. So quite a few people won Siberian ice. Now these are ice packs that have a space-age material in them, and when a hurricane is coming, you put these in your freezer, let them freeze up, and then when the power goes out, you simply switch them over to your refrigerator or leave them in the freezer, and they will keep the temperature down for about 5 or 6 days compared to somebody that just freezes water and keeps it in a container, and the ice will melt within 24 to 36 hours. But these packs will stay frozen for a really long time, so this is a great thing. Check it out. The link is on the front page of Hurricane City. We also gave away some hurricane playing cards courtesy of Early Alert. These are playing cards that have all the famous hurricanes in history, how many people died, what kind of damage was done, how much damage was done, what the ranking of the hurricane was, and we gave some of these away as well. These are not for sale at Early Alert, but they are a promotional product, and maybe we'll give some more of these away in future shows. And I'd like to put a special thanks out to MapTracks. They gave away some laminated hurricane tracking charts last night to callers that chose the laminated tracking map over the Siberian ice and the playing cards. So thank you to all of our sponsors this year and continued support of Hurricane City. Well, what's going on in the tropics? But first of all, I want to talk a little bit about what I talked about on the show last night. This is the ENSO forecast for the hurricane season coming up. And notice the green bars here, and these are basically indicating that this is the highest probability of what's going to happen at the height of the hurricane season, and that is neutral conditions. Here is the height of the hurricane season right in this area here, and we're seeing the green, which is neutral. And El Nino is only about a 22% chance of El Nino occurring, and then there's only about a 20% chance of a full-blown La Nina happening. So that was what my thinking was on the cities and islands to be impacted, is that the cities and islands that usually get hit when there's this kind of a situation, a neutral situation here, there are certain areas that were high risk, and I gave out those cities. In fact, let's take a look at the cities I did choose last night during the show, and here they are. Our number one pick for this year was Boca Raton, Florida. Number 2, Grand Bahama Island. Number 3, Boynton Beach, Florida. Number 4, Great Exuma, Bahamas. And number 5, the country of Belize down in the southwest Caribbean Sea. And just to let you know, 10 out of my top 20 areas were based in South Florida. In my top 20, the last time I ever had this many cities and islands grouped together from one particular area was in 2005, when I predicted that the Mississippi coast was going to get slammed by a major hurricane because there were 3 cities grouped together like that. So I have a great concern for South Florida this year to at least be affected by a named storm. And you can see the other areas on my predictions page at hurricanecity.com/predictions. So let's take a look at what's currently going on in the tropics right now. And let's take a look at the wind shear. We have an area of concern in the southwest or central Caribbean Sea at this hour. And you can see it right here near south of Haiti and the island of Hispaniola. Now, the models have been all over the place on this, but they've been generally feeling that by midweek coming up, we should see something developing somewhere in this area here and heading generally north towards Cuba. Some models have backed off on that, though. And I think the reason is because of the continued wind shear. This is the wind shear analysis from the University of Wisconsin. We have 30 and 40 knots of wind shear down here in the southwest Caribbean, and this blows the cloud tops off of developing systems as they're trying to get their act together. And the shear is not letting up very much. It's maybe moving north a little bit, but nevertheless, it's very high up in here, especially 50, 60, 70 knots through the Bahamas. So as this drifts further off to the northeast, it's going to get shredded. But I think that the models are indicating the axis of this wave is still back down here near Panama somewhere. And as conditions may get a little more favorable next week, as this drifts north, we could see a new area flare up here between Jamaica and Honduras. So we're going to keep a close eye on it. But right now, the shear is just not very favorable. Now, here is the pressures down in the Caribbean Sea, showing where the area of lowest pressure is down here, the low-level vorticity. And you can see it's still basically down here in the southwest Caribbean. Even though most of the convection is up in this area, the vorticity is still down here near Panama. So we're going to watch that area. It's still stuck down there, and it might take a while for it to drift north. In fact, the GFDL model that's tracking 93L run, which is this blob up in here, is indicating we could see a 10,008 millibar pressure in about 4 to 5 days here in the western Caribbean Sea. So we'll watch it. It'll be slow to develop down here. And this area in the Gulf of Mexico is in a high-pressure environment heading towards Mexico. We don't see much concern for that. It's going to move into Mexico. So that's basically it for now. Again, the front page of Hurricane City, we now have the archive up from the Hurricane Season Kickoff Show. And it is located right down here in the text on the front page of Hurricane City. To archive subscribers, it's about 2.5 hours long. You can go ahead and load it up and pause it and fast forward, rewind, do whatever you want to get to the important parts of the show. But we had a ton of callers last night. We had some guests in the studio. We had a lot of stuff going on last night, but it's a great show. Check it out when you get a chance. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll be back in a few days. We'll keep an eye on what's going down in the Caribbean, but nothing to be alarmed about at this time. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.